I feel like the best part about the summer is just having a good time with friends at parties, or just, having these car rides with friends where you could just enjoy music. And that's what the summer typically brings us, a bunch of dope new music. And it also gives us a time to revisit, old classics that always hit different in the summertime. If it's on those late night drives or if it's at these house parties, I mean, music just always sounds better to me in the summer. And there are certain songs that, fit that summer aesthetic vibe better than other tracks. So today we're going to be talking about our top 10 summer songs of all time, and this is kind of more opinion based between our favorites. But if there is like some summer classics that you guys think that we missed out on, let us know in the comments and we'll debate which ones are the best.
This is a great episode because, I was talking about this with someone, I don't remember who, a bit of a while back, and I'm like, what makes a great summer song? And there's a lot of different things that go into it. Obviously the replay value and how, catchy it is. But guys, listen, this was actually voted by you guys on our Patreon, so thank you for that. So we put up a poll asking, vote for next week's YouTube episode. We had new rap albums you should be excited for in August of 2021. That got 5 votes. Then we had top 10 summer rap songs that got 10 votes. And then we had which rapper is the king of New York, which got 6 votes. So obviously this one won. And if you guys want your say on the next episode, guys, the link is in the description for our Patreon plan, and you guys could obviously have a say in our in our future YouTube videos if you subscribe there. So going back to my previous question, what do you think constitutes a summer banger? And name a couple, let's say, that didn't get, let's say, a spot on our list.
Yeah, so for me, I mean, it has to capture the essence of summer. I mean, typically it has to have like, it has to make me feel like maybe I'm on a beach somewhere, or that like I'm in this aesthetic where everything is kind of loose and laid back, and just like these chill atmospheres, I would say, is the best thing for me when I go into a summer song. But some of the songs that didn't make the cut for me would have to include Ride With Me by Nelly. That's a
Banger.
classic. Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, Nothing But a G Thing. That was hard not to include.
That was crazy.
Going back to Cali by Biggie.
Massive.
Gin and Juice by Snoop Dogg. So Fresh, So Clean by Outkast. Touch the Sky, Kanye West. Regulate by Warren G is another classic that
That's
we didn't
a massive
include.
classic.
And Caroline by Aminé, which is kind of a newer school pick that I think deserved some talk for sure.
Absolutely. There's a lot of songs that deserve love in the summer, but I think the other aspect that creates such a great summer banger is, of course, how hard it slaps. Like, you can't have anything that's a bit underwhelming, or that, doesn't necessarily make the rotation too much when it comes to, constituting it as a summer banger.
Yeah.
So in this list, we're going to see a mix of both. We're going to see some more melodic tracks, and then we're also going to see some fucking, crazy songs with, blasting 808s and stuff that you could bump in a house party with 120 plus people.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
To start off this list, at number 10, we have Jumpman by Drake and Future. This released back in 2015 off of What a Time to Be Alive. And what were your first initial thoughts when you first heard this song as a 15-year-old? Because I remember when this came out, I didn't understand a single thing, as far as like lyrics go to this song. Like it was kind of, a bit more advanced for me in the way, like, I didn't really understand like the drug lingo. So, what was the sort of vibe around it, and why do you think it stuck through your rotation for such a long time?
It took me so long to actually discover that Jumpman was reference to the Air Jordan logo and Michael Jordan, with that stance where he's jumping and about to dunk. So that adds like an extra layer of kind of dopeness, I would say, to the song, because there's, a purpose behind it. But when I first heard this, I mean, I ran through What a Time to Be Alive once at the time, and then I just, just cruising through the streets and walking in my neighborhood, I would just nonstop hear people playing this song, and I'm like, what fucking Drake song is this? And then I got into the groove of it, and I mean, Metro Boomin was really off one on this. I mean, if you look at the heavy bass in the song, if you look at the Raven sound effects that he adds in, I mean, it's just genius from start to finish. And Drizzy knows the caliber of the beat that he got in this song, and he actually, shouts out Metro Boomin on the song itself. So who do you think had the better performance between Drake and Future, and why did this Drake song make the cut and maybe not some other, let's say, more summer type songs like Controller or Passion Fruit?
Well, I'm going to answer that question first. I think Controller and Passion Fruit
more R&B.
Are more R&B, or more like dancehall. Like, I wouldn't necessarily put that in a rap category. And if I want to talk about a Drake slapper, like something that really hits home and something that has an iconic essence to it, 2015 Drizzy is, probably prime time, summertime Drizzy for me. And not only that, but it was also the sort of peak of Future Future's career when he was coming up. Like 2015, he had a massive run. So I think with both of their careers exploding, it really allowed me to dive into their catalogs further. And like this was the song that sort of introduced me to like their whole duality, because I was only 15 at the time. And there's actually kind of like another double entendre to the word Jumpman. It's actually a drug smuggler. So you know, someone that goes country to country, and you could see how like in Future's first verse, he's kind of giving you like that narration and like that imagery of someone going to country with different packs and like getting through border control or whatever it is. So I really didn't understand that aspect to it until I got older and I started going through the actual lyrics of it. But this had a massive sort of replay value for me because I was hearing it at every single party, and then even a year after this was released from 2015, it was still in every club, and I remember how big of an impact it had on, let's say, my party listening. So do you think that What a Time to Be Alive as a whole is just a very underappreciated album, especially in both of their discographies?
I feel like it doesn't get talked about as being one of those top caliber trap projects, but it's easily top 3 trap collab albums of all time, and definitely probably one of the best trap projects I've ever heard. And it's because of songs like this where, I mean, like for this one, for example, like take this the actual song structure where you have a long Drizzy verse and a long Future verse, and then they kind of have 2 short verses after, towards the end of the song. That was pretty dope. And I mean, Drake's delivery is pretty playful, and he has like these quirky idiosyncrasies at the end of each bar and kind of have these mannerisms that are very out there. And that was new from Drizzy, so he experimented vocally, and overall their chemistry was just off the charts on this one.
Absolutely. But let's go on to number 9. So that was a great first pick for this list. That's something I'm going to be revisiting after this. But let's go on to Slide by Calvin Harris, Migos, and Frank Ocean. So this has aspects of hip hop in it, but also has aspects of, let's say, pop and R&B as well,
and house music for sure.
So there's different types of genres that are playing into effect here. But I think the reason why I like this song so much is because it could be played in any setting. Take a car ride, on a beautiful, sunny, breezy day. This song goes perfectly. Even like a nighttime jam, let's say by the pool and, kicking in with the boys. That's a great, party vibe as well. Or let's say, getting a party going or a house party going. This is a perfect intro track. So who do you think did their thing the most on here? And, what makes this track so memorable for you?
I mean, number one, I never would have expected, a link up between, house producer Calvin Harris and the Migos to sound as good as it did. And I mean, off of this very, funky type of production, the Migos sound like they're right at home, which really surprised me. So, I mean, I think Quavo might have done the best on this, mind you. Frank Ocean's hook was amazing. I love the high-pitched vocals and the meaning behind, sliding, which actually refers to how, people are just in it for the one-night stands, but Frank Ocean's actually searching for something deeper, which, you don't really get these meanings often, in these pop, let's say pop-oriented songs. But, I mean, the flavor that Quavo adds is amazing because his auto-tune is used to perfection. And even the transitions, from Quavo's verse to Offset's, it's really well done because I think Quavo's last bar is Good Lord, and then Offset starts off his verse with Good Gracious. So he's kind of like piggybacking off of him. So that was really cool. And I mean, once again, this song just makes me feel like I'm on a fucking beach, man. Like I feel like really relaxed listening to it, and maybe more than any other song on this list, it really fits into that summer type of, feel.
And, the aesthetic that Calvin Harris, sort of sets with this whole production is beautiful because it's bouncy, it's wavy. Like, you feel like you're on the beach and, you're drinking pina coladas until you can't stand anymore. Like, that's the emotion I get throughout it. And
is the kind of music that you've bumped on like previous vacations, let's say?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah?
No,
Okay.
for sure. I was in Cuba last year, and this was definitely in my rotation before COVID. Like, this is just a great song to get the mood going and to get people happy. And a lot of people don't know that this song actually has a really nice meaning to it. Well, nice meaning, but a meaningful meaning to it. And it's like, about how people want to enter, wealthy people's sort of lifestyles and different types of habits in order to gain clout or gain more money. So there's always like these double entendres with these, let's say, summer songs, and it's mostly the aesthetic that carries it through. So let's actually get on to number 8 because this is another slapper. And this is off of The Life of Pablo, and it comes from 2016, and it is Father Stretch My Hand Part 1. So when you heard that, that beat drop for the first time, what were your initial reactions, and do you think that it kind of made the whole song after, and like it's one of the most iconic Metro beats you've ever heard?
This is one of my favorite beat drops of all time, man. And I love the progression of the instrumental, because you start off with this sample from a pastor who's kind of reading out this prayer, and then it slowly eases you in because you move into these electronic synths, and then you get, the Metro Boomin production tag, and then the hi-hats come in, and it's game over, and you're about to get a classic from Metro and from Kanye at the end of the day.
And apparently Kendrick was supposed to be on this. So
shocking, man.
How do you think that would have switched the whole vibe?
I think they made the right decision. I mean, this song only clocks in at 2 minutes and 15 seconds, so like there was the room for Kendrick to hop in for a verse, but I don't know, it would have been weird because it wouldn't have been your typical like production, let's say, for Kendrick to hop in on. Like, I don't think he would have been, dropping some crazy bars or anything on this, So
yeah, it would have been more of like, let's say, maybe a melodic Kendrick, or who knows what he would have done his thing on here. Like, it's kind of a hard feel. Like, I don't know. I don't really see Kendrick on that sort of production.
Kid Cudi did his thing. I mean, that hook of like "Beautiful Morning, You're the Sunshine to My Morning," like, to me, it's impossible not to fucking nod your head when listening to that, man. Like, that hook is just one of the most iconic of the 2010s decade for me. And I mean, I just feel full of life when I'm listening to this song. I feel like the song gives me oxygen. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those types of songs. And I mean, just the playfulness of Kanye's bars with the fucking bleach.
Yeah. Don't worry, we're not gonna
the bleach bar.
Yeah,
that's
the
all
bleach
I'm
bar.
say.
We'll say the bleach bar.
We'll leave it at the bleach bar. And it's funny because Chance the Rapper and one other writer actually had credits on this song,
Drake.
but
I believe it was Drake.
It was Drake, but Chance left the credit for Kanye on that bar. So that was one of Kanye's ideas, to be super playful about that. So that's a highlight moment for me on the album, and I just feel like everything worked on that one.
2016 was an iconic summer for a reason. It was because of how packed it was with great music. Like, Uzi was dropping by the second. There was Drake that had dropped Views, and now you got like this back in February, and Father Stretch My Hand had that longevity of going into the summer and like taking over everything. Like, I couldn't have gone to a house party and not heard this song.
Also,
anywhere.
yeah, we were also very close to choosing Waves off of The Life of Pablo instead, because I mean, that's another kind of summer vibe song off of The Life of Pablo, and Chris Brown's vocals, of course, are amazing on that. But let's move on now to number 7. And we're bringing some New York flavor into this. It's Empire State of Mind by Jay-Z and Alicia Keys. So when was your first time listening to this, and what was kind of the effect that you got off of it?
I think it may have been the music video on Much More.
Okay, cool.
I think that was maybe the first time I heard this track. But this was heavy for me because back in 2009, I was obviously 9. Like, I didn't have much experience, listening to music and diving into it. So most of my replay value came from the radio. Like, I would be in the car with my mom or my dad, and this was just controlling the airwaves for the whole season. Like, you couldn't have gone anywhere and not heard this song. I remember going to family barbecues, and like, my family's not that big into hip hop, and like, this song was playing, and I don't think there's a single hip hop fan that has not heard this song. Like, it's easily one of Jay-Z's biggest tracks and one of his biggest records, and it's for a good reason. Like,
it's his only number 1 hit, by the way.
And not only that, but it's coming from the Blueprint 3, like an album that's Jay-Z gets a bit of stick for because it's on the lower end of his discography. Which, by the way, I think the Blueprint 3 is a great album in my opinion. But going back to Empire State of Mind, Alicia Keys' vocals on this are top tier.
It was a perfect match for this production,
beautiful.
Man. Yeah, and this was produced by Al Shucks, and it features an old sample and these very powerful piano chords. And I mean, this is Jay-Z rapping at a world-class level, as you can come to expect from him. And I mean, he starts off, his verse literally rapping like, "I'm next to the Frank Sinatras and the Robert De Niros as a New York icon." Like, he's really up there. And this song quickly became the anthem for New York, man. And like, when I hear this, I immediately feel like, taking a road trip to New York and driving on that Brooklyn Bridge with my windows down and bumping this song. And I mean, it's crazy how Jay-Z even predicted the success of this song, because he has a line where I believe he says, "I live on Billboard," and then this song ended up being his first number 1 hit on the Hot 100 chart on Billboard, went 5 times platinum, and just became the hit that he wanted it to become. And I also love the fact that, yes, it's very pop friendly because of Alicia Keys' vocals, but Jay-Z said how he purposely wanted to rap in themes about him taking you through a day in the life of how it was growing up in Brooklyn for him, and all the shit that he saw in the Marcy projects. And it's crazy how he wraps that subject matter into something that's disguised as a pop friendly and radio friendly song.
It's a great track, and I think it's easily one of Jay-Z's greatest hits. Like if you had to take a greatest hits moment from Jay-Z, this is definitely one of them. And it was, as I said before, controlling the airways and did so much just for the summer, and how many, even non-hip hop listeners were tuning into this track. But let's move on to number 6. We have Pick Up the Phone by Young Thug, Travis Scott, and Quavo. And this dropped back in 2016, another mega track for the summer of 2016. So I remember when I first heard this. I'll take you back to the scenario. I believe I was with the boys, and I think maybe you were there. We had gone downtown somewhere, and we had came back, and we were chilling at my old crib on Pierre Barrajon, and John had this song on his phone, and it was the first time I ever heard it. Like, I believe they dropped it out of nowhere, like just sporadically. And the first time I heard it, I'm like,
I wasn't there, by the way. The first time I heard it, I was in the car. So
where did you hear it?
I was in the car, just driving on a boulevard. I don't remember with who, but I was just in the car, so I wasn't there. But anyways, keep going. What were you saying?
So the first time I heard it, I'm like, okay, this is really what they're coming with? Like, off of the first, let's say, listen, I don't know how you're not instantly grabbed by this song. And then, obviously, I believe that this dropped in the month of June.
It kicked off the summer in a huge way, man.
What was it, June 3rd, I believe?
June 3rd, 2016.
June 3rd, 2016. And then you heard it bumping for the rest of the summer. And this was like, okay, Travis Scott had Antidote, which did major fucking impact in summer of 2015. And now
he's back with another one.
And now they're back with another one, and it's just as great. So, who do you think had the best, part on this
Definitely
track?
Young Thug. I mean, his vocal complexions, as always, shine the brightest for me. And it's crazy that this song was such a hit, and they both knew it. So Thug put it on Jeffrey, and Travis had to put it on Birds in the Trap Sing McKnight, because they were fighting over, who was going to be the featured artist and who was going to be the lead artist. And they ended up coming to, an agreement to both have it. But I just love kind of the feeling that this song puts me in. I feel like I'm fucking underwater, man. I feel like I'm submerged underwater, and that I'm just, floating around with these very breezy sounds from Travis, Thugger, and by Quavo. And the auto-tune works for all of them, and I just feel like, this is a song that is very light on subject matter. I mean, at the end of the day, they're just saying how they'll take care of their women any way that they see fit, and that they'll provide them that life of luxury.
Yeah, it was obviously engineered to be a summer classic, exactly, if we put it like
and
that.
And they pulled it off, man. Very simple song, but it's managed to have that replay value. And no matter how overplayed it might get, it's still in my rotation.
How many parties have you gone to when Pick Up the Phone has, entered this playlist? Like, this is the narrative for all of these tracks.
It's a crowd pleaser.
It is a crowd pleaser because, if you don't fuck with Young Thug, well, you have Travis Scott. If you don't fuck with Travis Scott, well, you have Quavo. And if you like all three of them, well, hats off to you. You have something that's going to stick through your rotation for the summers to come. And listen, it has entered mine. This is a personal favorite for mine, and, any summer rotation. And let's get on to number 5, because this list is just going to start getting even more interesting.
We're going to start getting more nostalgic now as the list goes on.
We're going to start getting classic in here, because there's nothing like revisiting old summer classics. Like, there's a different type of vibe to it. Like, obviously, trap music does its thing, and, there's different artists that could, really, play around with their summer hits. But back then, it's not called barbecue music for no reason. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, there's a different sort of vibe to this. And I think we're going to start off at number 5 with It Was a Good Day by Ice Cube. Take this back to 1993. We weren't even born yet. No. But when was the first time you listened to this track? Because I remember mine very vaguely, but I want to hear yours first.
I don't remember at all, man. I really can't remember. I was probably 14 or 15 years old. Don't remember where I was or how I was introduced to it, though. What about you?
I was in summer of 2014, okay? I believe it was when Compton had came out. And
okay.
Yes, was that when the Compton track came out? Was it 2014 or 2015?
2015. So you were just starting to get into NWA and that whole West Coast
I had gotten
sound?
into NWA back in 2011 when I was in Myrtle Beach in South Carolina. I was listening to Straight Outta Compton, and then I had made my way into Ice Cube's catalog, and I had heard this track, but it didn't really ring home with me because I was too young to really, go through the storytelling or, let's say, really understand the value of the production and everything else that goes on with the song. And then as I got older, this was just something that really entered my replay value, especially as I got older, once I turned to 18 and 19, I started to play this a lot more in the car, and I realized that this track is easily in my top 5 aux aux rotation
'Cause you
songs.
can't go
Like,
wrong with it,
You
right?
can never go
Yeah.
wrong with it. Like, who the fuck doesn't like this song?
Yeah, and I think it's because it's such a change of pace from what we're used to hearing from Ice Cube. Because I mean, he's known for that gangster rap, or he's known for the political advocacy, and that's actually why he made this song. I think he had said that like it was 1992, and he was on top of the rap game, of course, and he was just chilling in a hotel room, being very euphoric, very happy about his success and about the money he's acquired, and he was like, you know what? I made all these gangster songs and all this shit, but I mean, I have really good days. Like I'm very successful, and I'm not really rapping about it. So he really felt, the need to talk about an average day in his life. And to me, this song always felt like my friend gave me a call and literally told me about their day, and that's because of the simplicity of the song. I mean, it feels like he's talking to you and literally taking you through every detail of his day. And I love how descriptive he gets on this song, because the production, of course, is very, breezy and very easy to listen to, but it really gives you time to, take in what Ice Cube's, telling you on a storytelling level. And it starts off by saying like, I woke up this morning, the dog isn't barking. Like he's enjoying the little things in his day, and then he slowly takes you through it. So to you, what was your favorite aspect of the song?
I like the sort of positivity it gives me. Like it's such a breezy song. It gives you a good energy. It gives you good vibes. Like you're there and you're bumping it, and I don't know how you could be in a bad mood while bumping this song. There's just so much to take out of it. Like he's obviously comparing the parallels to, let's say, like the norms that come with living in lower income areas, and he's kind of saying, okay, I flipped that now. Like I'm not I'm not in those situations, but they're actually working for me. Like one of my favorite lines is there is like Lakers beating the Supersonics. Like it was just taking you through a good day and someone that lives in Compton's life. Like it was giving you that imagery, and it's so vivid, and his writing is just great in the way it progresses. Not only that, but I think a big part of the song is how it starts in the morning and then it ends at night. Like it kind of encourages you to have a good day and to go through your day with that sort of positivity. So I think that's why I like it. And in the summer, the biggest thing for me is those good, genuine vibes. It's a beautiful time to get out. It's beautiful weather. So this is a song that perfectly encapsulates that and has stuck through my rotation since I would say maybe 14 years old and plus. As I get into my 20s, this is one of my favorite hip hop tracks of all time. So it's definitely up there for me.
And just like the next song on our list, It Was a Good Day, it works so well because you don't have to listen to what he's rapping about. Like you could literally just zone out and feel the groove of the production, or you can actually go into the deeper messaging. And at the end of the day, he's saying like, I'm happy I didn't have to use my AK. You know what I mean? Like I'm happy that I didn't have to, get involved in anything, violent. I was just able to chill out today. So always, been a fan favorite and one of my favorite Cube songs. But let's keep the West Coast, theme going with number 4, Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe by Kendrick Lamar. And I mean, to me, this was always the song that really shook me, because when I first heard it, I took it as what it was on the surface level, as just being this very, I would say, 90s West Coast inspired track where Kendrick is, just rapping about energies and about how he's happy to be in a position where he doesn't have to, worry about the snakes because he's focused on his own path. But it's much deeper than that as we go through it. So is this one of your favorites off of Good Kid, Mad City? And what makes it such a great song for you?
Well, I think it's one of my favorite Kendrick Lamar songs of all time, because when I was 12 years old, this was a song that kind of like convinced me even more to get into Kendrick's music, because at that point, GKMC had dropped and he only had Overly Dedicated and then Section 80, that, the two projects that I was familiar with. And this was a track that was like really like mysterious to me, because I didn't know how I felt about it at first, because it was such a different type of sound to me and I was so new to the genre at the time. And it was weird because as I continued to listen to the song, I started to pick up on many more different aspects of it. And then, before I knew it, this was one of my most replayed songs by Kendrick. And throughout every summer, this is the perfect song for any sort of blunt rotation or any sort of chilling. Like, there is no doubt you will, please a crowd with this sort of song, because not only are all the lyrics super, relatable, but there's a lot of different, hip hop fans that may not be into Kendrick, but that could rap all of his verses on this. Like, it's so complicated and it's so intricate in the way that he wrote it. But then again, it has so much replay value within the fans. So why do you think that's a thing?
I mean, I think it's because of the hook. This is one of his best hooks ever, and the balls that it took for him to do it, because Lady Gaga was supposed to originally do the chorus, but the timing was off and she couldn't get her chorus done on time. But that version is out on YouTube if you guys are interested in checking it out. It's pretty good, but I prefer, Kendrick's chorus on it. So I love that aspect of it. Not only that, but I love his calm and cool delivery throughout it, because to me, this song was always a big stress reliever. If I was ever having a fucking terrible day or just going through some shit personally, this song was there for me to consume and just be able to get back to a ground level, I would say. So that's what it's always done for me. And apart from that, I mean, I love the personification that he uses, because he uses a girl to really represent hip hop. And you can see that through the line where he says, "I'll take your girlfriend and put that pussy on the pedestal." And he's referring to how, of course, the woman is hip hop, and he's going to take hip hop to another level. He's going to bring substance back to it and, make people realize that you don't have to be a yes man. You don't have to do what's going to get the radio play. You don't have to, listen to the label executives. And that's kind of what this song's about, is, having that creative vision and sticking to it and not letting these people with these fucked up plans and energies consume you at the end of the day.
And the versatility of this song is beautiful as well, because as you mentioned, like, you could play this song, while you're down and while you need kind of like that energy booster or, something to ground you. And then you could also play it at a party where everyone's remembering the lyrics and everyone's going through it. And it's crazy because you don't necessarily even have to focus on the verses or on the hook or on the writing at all. You could just go with the flow and completely love this sort of energy. And my biggest thing with this song is when I had seen the video of Andre 3K bumping it in the studio with Kendrick and Dre, I was like, okay, I understand why this hits home like it does. Like,
Three Stacks knew what was up.
3 Stacks knew what was up, and apparently he actually helped, construct this song and had creative decisions on it. So that's why I think I'm so captivated with it, is because there's this beautiful energy and like this distinctive sound that comes with it, and this sort of feel of nostalgia that comes with "Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe." But let's move into our top 3. And listen, guys, I hope you guys have been enjoying this list so far. You guys, feel free to take any of these songs and add them to your playlist if you have not already. But at number 3, this is how could I say this? This is a song that has probably one of the greatest replay values I have ever seen, especially within the 2010s decade, because this came out in 2008, but got more popular as the years went on, and
kind of a sleeper hit.
Yeah, because when Kid Cudi had released "Man on the Moon," there was multiple bangers with this, and the biggest one was "Day and Night," along with "Pursuit of Happiness." Like, you could put "Pursuit of Happiness" in here, but there's just something with "Day and Night" and the sort of feel that it gives you and the sort of zone that it puts you in, that completely, I would say, outdoes any other summer banger on this list, like even the 2-in-1 spot. So do you think that this is one of Kid Cudi's best put together songs?
I think it's one of his best songs. I mean, it remains his most successful to this day for a reason for me. And I mean, I just love that, like, the lonely stoner that he's talking about in this song is himself. You know what I mean? He's rapping about how he's searching for inner peace but can't obtain it. He's, trying to get with the girl of his dreams, but, she's not having it. So what's his kind of solution is just, smoking some pot and just chilling out. And it's crazy because apart from, the very personal subject matter from Cudi, I mean, the production from Dot the Genius was brilliant here, and it really gives you this futuristic sound. And that's because you have 3 different types of synths. You have these drum claps that are really hardcore and sound like slaps. You have these hi-hats and just a lot of drum and synth based production that really works out and gives this otherworldly type of sound. And I mean, Kid Cudi's vocals on this were amazing, and this is truly a song that has saved lives. That has saved lives, excuse me. And that's something that Cudi and Dot the Genius have said, is that this song, out of most of the other ones, is the one that people that fans come to them with and say, like, yeah, this song actually saved my life.
Well, think about how deep it is as a concept. Like, think about how, loneliness can affect someone's life, and how, mental health has, been such a, I would say, a taboo sort of conversation for such a long time in the industry. And now Kid Cudi comes out with a song that, not only encaptivates that, but that puts it as a radio hit, and that makes it so marketable for people to connect to. Like, that's what I love about this song, is like, not only is it such a big crowd pleaser at parties, but it has saved lives, like, genuinely. Like, this is a song that when you're feeling down, you could play it and you could gain so much introspection from it. And not only is it an easy listen on the production side or the content side, but it could also be flipped into such a complicated subject matter of like, okay, I'm in a situation where I don't know if someone fucks with me, or let's say I don't feel as if no one around me, sort of appreciates me. How do I deal with that? How do I feel comfortable staying on my lonesome and being able to, let's say, stay trapped in my own head while, being able to navigate and still gain introspection. So those are the sort of subject matters that I get throughout this.
And it's also deeper just because he wrote this song and, finished it after his uncle passed away, who he was living with. And, that tragic event pushed him to really fulfill his dreams because, he was always, a big advocate for him to go out and chase those dreams. So it's cool to see how much this song meant to Kid Cudi and to his career. And not only that, but I love the evolution of hip hop because that's what this song represents because, Cudi was influenced to make this song by the Ghetto Boys song, which is called, My Mind Playing Tricks on Me. And then we see 10 years later, Travis Scott giving his own rendition of this song with Through the Late Night. So it's cool to see how, these artists have been influenced decade after decade. And this song will remain in my rotation probably for the next, 20, 30 years to come. It's just that good. But let's move on to another classic rap song. And this is California Love. What are your thoughts on it, man?
I stayed silent there for a minute because you kind of have to respect the name. Like, you got to let California Love, like, sort of, like, stick with you. Like, think about those two words, California and love. Like, they're obviously such general terms, but as soon as you put them together, you attribute it to a certain face and you know what's going on. And I think the most iconic part of California Love is the actual music video with Dr. Dre and Tupac. Like, when this had came out, I obviously wasn't alive, but just knowing the type of influence that it had on the West Coast and what it was able to do for the, whole genre as a whole was absolutely beautiful to see. Not only that, but apparently Kendrick was there live for the music video shoot, and that inspired him to continue pursuing music as he got older. So why is this such a big summer banger? Again, barbecue music. Like, you could throw this on at a barbecue and I guarantee you it will please any crowd. And even if you're into new gen hip hop or if you're into other sort of genres in music, this will please the crowd just because of the simplicity and bounce to it. Dr. Dre's production just matches Tupac's performance, and what better mix to have at that time, man, coming from such an iconic coast in hip hop.
It's also cool that this song came out in December, and it's always hot in California, right? So it's kind of an even bigger statement of being like, we're living the summer life all year round, and only California could do this. And they're both repping, of course, California and LA and Long Beach and all these other parts in Cali throughout the entire song. And to me, this was just such an iconic moment in hip hop history because Tupac was fresh out of jail, and this was kind of his homecoming party. This was his first song that he released after coming out and after signing to Death Row, and this was a huge moment because Dr. Dre was actually supposed to put this song on his Aftermath compilation album, and he had recorded 3 verses for it. And then, Pac got an ear on it. He heard it and he's like, can this be my song? Can I add on a verse? And, can I be a part of this big moment? And he did. And I love his cadence on this. And I mean, he gives you that aggressive delivery as always. But I mean, this song has just really stood the test of time. And like you said, just like Empire State of Mind to me is probably the anthem for New York, California Love is the anthem, of California for me.
Which one do you prefer, though, out of the two?
Oh, man.
Which one do you prefer? Like, taking aside, everything, which one's, your favorite out of the two?
I feel like California Love is maybe, it fits more into that summer aesthetic, and it's maybe the bigger moment in hip-hop, and that's why it places higher on the list, but I do prefer Empire State of Mind.
Okay, I got to agree with you. Yeah, Empire State of Mind. I think it's one of the songs that definitely, propelled my listening to a different level and kind of brought me to a different place with it. I started to really pay attention to the lyrics of the song, and I started to understand what Jay-Z was saying. And it was also at a time in 2009 where, I was just starting to, become fresh with the genre. So I really did enjoy it. But let's get on to number 1, which Still Dre, by Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. And why do you think this deserves the number 1 place on our list? And why did it edge out California Love if they're both, Dr. Dre hits?
Yeah, because this was, the comeback song for Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg after they had taken over the world with The Chronic, and after some people were saying, oh, Dre's falling off, Drake hasn't had a hit since The Chronic, and to me, this song had so many moving pieces, and they all fit in together like a fucking puzzle, man. If you look at Hove songwriting, because of course Jay-Z wrote the entire song of Still Dre. Not only that, but if you look at the vibrant performances from Dre and from Snoop Dogg, if you take Scott Storch's keyboard riff, I mean, everything about this song is fucking iconic. So what to you made this, one of Dre's, let's say, best performances? Because I think it is
one of the best car songs to ever, stand the faith of time. Like this has, years of replay value for a reason. Like it's still being played to this day, and there was millions of remixes to this song. It affected, probably billions of people at this point for how many times it's gotten played. And this came at a time where, there was no social media and that there was no, digital marketing. Like this was really, pushed naturally. Like this really hit home, and it was at a time where products had to be created with more calculation because the types of tools that we're using weren't as sophisticated as now. Not only that, but as I said, digital marketing wasn't as prominent, so the product itself had to carry it, had to carry itself. So where I see it going was like, this was the anthem for hip hop. Like this is, if you wanted to make like the most iconic hip hop songs of all time and put it into a top 5 list,
this would be up there.
This
for
would
sure.
have to have a place on it because of what it did for the West Coast sound and how it completely, let's say, revitalized Dr. Dre's career with the Crown 2001.
And I also love how their chemistry really plays out throughout the entire song, because I mean Dre is the one who has more of the verses on this track, but Snoop Dogg comes in with the ad-libs, saying for sure, for life. Like he adds in these little nuances which really add to my experience listening to it. And I mean, to me, a lot of people say that this is Dr. Dre's best beat ever. I don't know if I totally agree with that, but it is up there. And to me, the biggest part about that is what Scott Storch was able to do with that keyboard riff. And I played piano as a kid, and I remember taking the fucking time to memorize, that keyboard riff. And I loved playing that as a kid, man. And I mean, it's something that you don't see often because it was super innovative. And I mean, this was Dr. Dre coming back and being like, I'm still that guy. Like he was reaffirming his position in the game and being like, this is going to be my second wind of dominance right now, and you're about to witness it. And it just felt like your best friends were getting back together again in Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre, and everything fell perfectly together. And that's our number one, man.
Absolutely. So, guys, listen, I hope you appreciated this list. It's the summertime. We decided to take it, a bit easy this week and give you something lighter as far as content goes, just so, you guys can enjoy the week and, gain some value out of this. Maybe grab some new songs and put them into the rotation.
And let us know some of your favorite summer songs on this, because there's so many to choose from. And, like we were saying earlier, if you guys want to have your say in future episodes, subscribe to the Patreon, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for watching the video. It's always a pleasure doing content for you guys. Listen, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel because we're doing album reviews, and we actually have our series called Everything We Know, where we take you guys through the whole album rollout of the hottest releases of the year. Not only that, guys, but our Patreon plan is now live. You guys can access that in the bio. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.